the main talking point of the VAR issue right now is the offside that was called that shouldn't have been called. He was clearly onside. They gave him the 2D line that shows he should not have been called offside. It was a clear-cut chance. He was clearly onside by a mile, in my opinion. Should have been the goal. Should have at least walked away with a point apiece.
Right.
Instead, they walked away. Tottenham walks away with 3 points. Liverpool walks away with none.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel, One Step at a Time. My name is Corey McKinney. I am joined today by Cameron, who is a dear friend of mine who knows a lot about football, especially in areas that I don't. That's not saying a whole lot because I still don't know a lot, but I know more than most Americans. Cameron is an American, and he knows more than me, so there's like this hierarchy. You see what I'm saying? All right, so recently in football times, in the past week, VAR has played a huge part in two major upsetting stories, right? So cue me in on a little bit of that. What's going on?
Yeah, so the first one, we'll get to the bigger one on the second one. So the first one is Celta Vigo and Las Palmas.
Okay.
They had an issue in La Liga the other day with VAR.
Okay.
I couldn't go back to find a video that reviewed it.
Sure.
But of course, the one that has made the headlines that I found on ESPN that you find everywhere is
which was crazy to me.
the Premier League game of Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, not just any game. Like this is the
It's
derby.
a big game.
Yeah. You know
It's a huge rival game.
Yeah, so for VAR to play such a big role in how that game turned out, to where some people say the reason why Tottenham walked away with a W on that one was because of the mistakes made with VAR. That's a big claim, and it's something that could be affecting the game in a major way. I've got some feelings about VAR and where I stand on whether or not we should be trusting video and AI and all that stuff to be doing the majority of the calls for us. I think you have some feelings about it as well that you would like to express.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, what we're going to do is, though, before we dive into it, just so everybody's on the same page about what VAR is, Tifo Football has a great video out right now explaining VAR. I love this channel a lot. If you have not subscribed to them, please go do. They are great. They're wonderful. We're going to dive into their video breaking down what VAR is, just to be honest with you guys, so I have a better understanding of what it is before I give my official opinion on it. And Cameron has agreed to watch it with me, so we're just going to do it. Let's go.
For VAR, when every refereeing decision was a major talking point, when "I guess we'll never really know" was a reasonable refrain. Well, of course you do, because while VAR promised an end to the unknown, in reality, it magnified it. Now, to give VAR its credit, we may never have another mistake as egregious as Thierry Henry's handball or Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain being mistaken for Kieran Gibbs. But the truth is that for all its successes, VAR illuminates complex problems without providing proper answers. It highlights a terminal conflict between two now diverging concepts: observation and application. And this conflict, now at the heart of the sport, threatens to change the way the game is played forever.
Right, so he's talking about these two things, the observation and the application. You see this all the time, and like for me, the most familiar sport to compare it is American football, where you have holding on every single play, but it has to be enough, right, for the referee to make the call. What do you think about this whole observation application side of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest issues with VAR right now is, I don't know, like, case in point, the other day with the Liverpool game, there's an issue with, so all of this is watched by other officials. So like, there are officials in a booth watching these.
So not even, these aren't the guys out on the pitch. Like this isn't.
No.
These are other people who are also making calls about what's happening live in game.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, and so like it's no different than like an instant replay in football, in American football.
They call New York, right? New York has it because they got somebody up in the office watching it. Sure.
But the biggest difference is this is a game that is continually. It doesn't stop.
Right.
Like in American
moving.
football, you can have instant replay. You run the play for 30 seconds. You break for almost a minute.
Yeah.
So that gives everyone time to review it.
Right.
In association football, you don't have that.
Right. It's constant movement.
You have
not enough time for an Applebee's ad. You know.
Yeah. No. And one of the reasons why I love the sport is that there's no commercials until halftime, and you got 10 minutes at halftime.
Right.
And so, for me, one of the biggest issues here is you're trying to implement something that works great for a sport like American football.
Mm-hmm.
It is terrible for a sport. I mean, it'd be the same thing with like hockey. They do instant replays in hockey. Mm-hmm. Very, very sparse.
Right.
Sparse, something like that.
Sparingly.
Whatever.
They do it
Sparingly. There you go.
Scarce. That's
Scarce.
the word.
That's what. Yeah, I was trying to combine two words there. But like that to me, yeah, I they have a lot of observation, but the application of it is misuse, I think.
Right. Okay. Let's keep going then.
VAR's introduction to the Premier League was unavoidable. The history of the sport is littered with refereeing errors, and by 2019, supporters were clamouring for a solution. But why? Well, because most football leagues operate in pyramid structures. They use promotion and relegation as tools of social mobility. The idea being that a team at the bottom of the pyramid could theoretically reach the top. Now, for human beings, that's a very engaging narrative, but it's based on the fundamentals of fair play and even playing fields. And unfortunately, refereeing errors can challenge those tenets.
Yeah.
Now, the driving factor, of course, is that the technology to monitor some of these errors is readily available. But as Dr. Ian Malcolm once presciently said, they were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
Please tell me he just actually quoted Jurassic Park on that.
Yes. Yes, he did.
fantastic.
So here's what I love. I love the quote because it's so applicable.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2019 rolls around. Like at this point, we already have goal line technology.
Sure.
Like that was implemented.
Our cameras in the ball, our sensors in the ball at this point, like they are in the World Cup and all that jazz.
I don't know. I think so. I know they had cameras set up. They had sensors and cameras set up around the goal line.
Mm-hmm.
So that way they could sense if the ball had crossed the goal line completely. Because that's how a goal's counted.
Sure.
It can be halfway on the line, halfway in the goal. Has to be totally in the goal.
Yeah, totally there. Yeah.
This right here, what I love so much about it, the quote is so accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, we can do this. This sounds like a great idea. American football does it. It works.
Yeah.
Until it doesn't.
Right.
And
it's also like, and almost to an extent, and I by no means want to give any organization like FIFA any credit or anything like that because I cannot stand them.
Right.
But, to an extent, if you have everybody in the football world saying, hey, you guys have got to do something about this, and they say, fine, we're going to do something about it, and the thing they do about it isn't necessarily the best thing, but they're at least trying, it makes you wonder how much of this is their fault and how much of this is just their response to what was going on.
yeah, I mean, I think it's more of a response. I don't necessarily put the blame with FIFA. Clearly, everything can always be better, right? We can always
Sure.
improve. I think we've seen that with instant replay
Sure.
in American football.
Right.
10, 15 years ago in 09, 08, whatever, it was garbage.
It was, yeah. There were some major games thrown over officiating that you couldn't review. We're here in New Orleans now. New Orleans didn't go to a Super Bowl because of a bad play that was called at the end of a game.
Right.
And yeah, so I mean, that's a whole thing. So yeah, and I suppose in any sport there's going to be officiating issues, right? And everybody's going to remember that one time that a referee threw up a yellow card or a red card that they shouldn't have, or they called a goal that wasn't a goal, or they said this happened that didn't actually happen. So, those are memorable, and those are more memorable than all the good calls, right? Nobody talks about the good calls. They always just remember the bad ones, right?
Yeah.
So VAR comes in and tries to fill this gap, I suppose. And the problem being, though, I don't know if it's doing it correctly, right? I don't know if it's the right solution.
Right, and I mean, I think as someone who played, in my opinion, played, coached, whatever, everything I've done, you can only put so much on one bad call.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. If you award a penalty or take away a goal by a missed call,
Yeah, that's a big deal.
it's a big deal. Goals are not like touchdowns. Like,
No.
you watch college football here in the States, you might see a team getting beat, or case in point, the NFL. Miami Dolphins beat the Broncos 70-20.
They did.
And so
that's 10 touchdowns.
yeah, like in my mind, I'm thinking that has to be on the team, not on the refereeing or anything like that. And that's not to say, like, I played games with bad officiating, terrible officiating, but I also played games and we competed with the other team and either almost won or at least tied or whatever.
Right.
Don't get me wrong; these can be costly penalties, but this, for a football fan, this is nothing new. That's been the issue since the dawn of the game.
Right.
And so,
Man. Yeah, let's go.
Of course, technology isn't all bad, but there are important distinctions to make. because prior to the introduction of VAR, the Premier League already utilised
Okay, that's
goal
what you're
line
talking about,
technology. On the 18th of January 2014, Manchester City's Edin Dzeko became its first beneficiary. His goal that day against Cardiff City was the league's first awarded by the use of technology. In 2020, Sheffield United were denied a goal against Aston Villa due to a glitch in the Hawkeye system, but this remains the only black mark on an otherwise impeccable record. Goal line technology is clearly a success, but its success is not the technology,
That's
it's
a
the
good
application.
Point. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a goal or it isn't. There's no margin for error, no middle ground, no uncertainty. Whether or not a ball has crossed a line is the perfect use case for technological assistance, because there is no gap between the observation of that event and the ability to
Like goal
apply
line cameras
the
in
correct
American
outcome.
football.
Yep.
VAR, however, is utilised to observe a broader range of events. These incidences are categorised as goals, penalty decisions, direct red card incidents, or mistaken identity, and it's only to be used for clear and
I still think the mistaken identity one is fantastic.
I need to go back and find out that incident, because
Yeah.
I was not aware of that until this.
They had to have awarded a goal to somebody, or like I don't know how.
I think there had to be probably a red card given.
and then somebody
or
came
yellow.
back. He came
Yeah.
back into the game and or something like
mean,
that. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Once you're so in association football, the center official, his word's final.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like if he doesn't award a goal, if he awards a goal,
Mm-hmm.
if he gives a red card, you can't take it back.
No, he's judge and jury
Yeah.
out there on that field.
Well,
yeah.
and last thing, like even if he makes a mistake, if I remember correctly, they can't just go back and overturn that.
Well,
So like you give somebody a red card, you done screwed up. Like
yeah,
you,
that you can't replace that player. That's you're a man down.
yeah. I think there may be some exception to that. I think as long as they haven't restarted the game, there's some exception to that.
Mm-hmm.
But if they restart the game, case in point, the Liverpool issue, after they had restarted the game, they realized, oh, we messed up.
Mm-hmm.
That-
Because the audio has come out from this as well, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like that was a cluster
Yeah.
of a mess.
That's a huge situation. So these are the four main components of VAR: goals, penalty decisions, direct red card incidents, mistaken identity, which I think is freaking hilarious. But goals, I'm still on board with that. Like
Yeah.
that makes sense. We have the goal line technology. You have the VAR as well, just in case the camera fails. You have some
Yep.
other eyes
You
on
need
it.
that.
Exactly. Penalty decisions, I can imagine say a tackle that comes from behind. They think that the person never touched the ball, that he only clipped the player's legs. It was clear that he actually did when you go
Yeah.
back and review it. Maybe, but penalty decisions still, I think, need to be in the moment kind of calls. I
will disagree with you on that. So number one, if a defender slides behind a player, that's 99.9% of the time that's going to be a call.
right.
No matter where you're at on the field, that's a call, because
Sure.
it is clear, even if you go in between the legs and you end up getting the ball and you never touch the player, you put that player at risk
Right.
in the foul. And so as someone who played defense, as someone who had many fair share of slide tackles, that to me is, you don't need a VAR for that.
Sure.
For penalty decisions, I think most of those are going to be more handball decisions.
Okay.
That's where the VAR really comes into play, because in the moment, player goes down. Yeah, I can see where that. I've seen a lot of them, especially when you had the issue. I don't feel like I have it. I don't see it near as much. You do see it some. You don't see it near as much where you have just overt flopping.
Yeah, diving, I think is what they call
Yeah,
it.
diving.
Yeah.
I still call it flopping.
Yeah.
But flopping, diving, whatever. You still, like, that has kind of shifted a little bit.
Sure.
And so I think VAR could really be good for that as well.
Okay.
But yeah, handballs for sure.
All right. And so the direct red card incidents, though, where are you at with that?
In my own personal opinion, as a player, someone who's reffed a game,
Sure.
who's helped coach, I don't like that.
Mm.
And the reason why, you shouldn't have to have someone in the booth to make a call. You have two sideline refs,
Okay.
two sideline officials, and you have a fourth official at the touchline that does subs. He's the one that's communicating with everyone.
Right. I think we're starting to tap into the meat of this argument, which I think both of us are standing on the same side of.
Yeah.
What is the point in having people on the field if at the end of the day you're not going to trust them to make the calls
Right.
when it's all said and done? If all of your stuff is being done by guys sitting behind a camera screen, then what the heck are these, four officials, was it four?
Four officials.
What are these four officials doing out on the pitch if at the end of the day they're not the ones making the call? Right? Is that where you're kind of at with this?
Yeah, I mean, that's my thing. It's like, look, we've played this game with at different levels, all right, not just at the professional level, but at different levels. You play with 3 refs, you play with 4 officials, plus some, I don't even know if we still do this or not, but some have used goal line officials to help with making sure that goals are goals.
Okay.
Make sure if the ball goes out at the goal line that's being called.
Sure.
Because that can be missed.
Sure.
Even as a side official, even if you're at the corner, you can still miss that call. And so I think the issue here is that you're putting more faith in someone behind a TV screen to catch something at a TV angle than someone that's out there on the field.
Yeah, I think that's the lining right there in the whole argument, is that particular thing is like, back to it. Why have these people out on the pitch if at the end of the day their word and their decisions don't matter? You'd rather rely on the screens.
Well, and before we jump back into this, my last comment is, it's okay to have VAR.
Sure.
Just like it's okay to call New York, in American football.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, that center official, the head official, needs to be the one that makes the call.
Yeah.
It's okay if you go watch that. There's some other side things. I'll wait and either we'll get through it. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see if he covers it. But there's some other things too that create so much of an issue for me.
Wow.
Obvious errors or serious missed incidents. So you're either Kieran Gibbs or you're not, and that's fine. But in the other 3 categories, things are not quite as simple. Take, for example, an incident in a game between Chelsea and Manchester United in February 2021. Callum Hudson-Odoi and Mason Greenwood collide in Chelsea's penalty area, and the event is reviewed to check for a possible handball. Now, at first it appeared as if it was Greenwood who had handled the ball, so much so that surrounding Chelsea players loudly appealed for a free kick. Yet upon review it was shown that it was actually Hudson-Odoi's hand that made contact, and yet no penalty was awarded. So let's go through this process. Now, this can fairly be described as a serious missed incident, a trigger for the video assistant referee to complete a check. However, unlike our goal or no goal or Gibbs or not Gibbs incidents, this isn't clear cut, thereby creating a gap between observation and application. And to bridge this gap, we need to interpret, and this is where the messy human errors find their way back into the system. You see, VAR isn't a problem, it simply illuminates the problem of applying the rules.
Wow.
And here are the rules relating to handball offences. The truth is that there simply cannot be a conclusive answer because the rule requires a degree of interpretation. What is deliberate? To what degree of accuracy can you determine the boundary of the arm? To what extent does an arm make the body unnaturally bigger? The answer is individual to the individual providing the answer, because it cannot not be. So we were interpreting before VAR, and we are interpreting now. And it's inarguable that the technology allows us a greater chance of applying the correct outcome in scenarios where there is such a thing as a correct outcome, but that's not really the problem. The problem is that the rules of the game are being changed to accommodate this greater observational access. At the beginning of the 2019-20 season, IFAB amended the handball rule. The aim was to make handball incidents easier to interpret, or in our language, to shorten the gap between observation and application. Across Europe, these adjustments led to a significant rise in the number of penalties awarded for handball fouls. And at the beginning of the 2020-21 season, FIFA, in charge of the implementation of VAR, insisted that the Premier League follow suit and apply the stricter interpretation. This consequently led to a similar rise in handball penalties awarded and has been a source of much consternation with supporters, players and managers. The reaction to which has been the apparent easing of that strict interpretation, leading us full circle back to Hudson-Odoi, whose handling of the ball very likely would have resulted in a penalty had it happened just a few months earlier. And herein lies the danger. The rules are being changed in order to improve the efficiency of VAR. If interpretation plays too much of a role, in a way that now millions of people see on televisions every weekend, then the instinct is to amend the rules to be increasingly black and white, and to apply a definitive lens to areas of the game which were always intended to be subjective.
So talk to me, man, because I know I could see like your wheels turning.
Oh my gosh, I gotta take this out. It's about to fall in my ear.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, man. First off, for all of you who are watching, if you share my frustration, feel free to add that in the comments. If you don't share my frustration and you actually disagree with me, that's okay too.
Yeah,
I would
Cameron,
love to talk more about this.
Tell Cameron why he's wrong.
Yeah, please correct me. Because look, I played the game. I love the game. I've done all the stuff I've told you I've done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand every little bit of these rules, mainly because of that last bit, right?
Right.
Some things were just meant to be subjective because why? You have a human ref officiating the game. Some things are just going to be, they're just going to be that way.
Yeah, you also have different body sizes and stuff like that, which are also going to determine different things in a physical game like football.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, football, in my mind, is a contact sport because of how much you're putting a body on players, and like, you know, things just have to be different for players of different sizes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, some of it has to be subjective. It has to be. The thing that kills me, and like what he brought up, I think is so brilliant with the handball rule, is that instead of VAR changing, if rules were going to be changed at all, it should be because VAR has pointed out there's a blatant mistake that has been made for so long about a rule, and it cleans it up a little bit. The rule shouldn't be changed so that it's easier for VAR to make a call, because when that happens, then you end up full circle because they changed it back anyway, right? Yeah. Like that shouldn't be the case. It should be, if a rule is going to be changed, it's because VAR shined a light on the fact that the rule needed to be changed because there was an actual problem with it, not the other way around. When you begin to start making changes so that people on a screen can make a better call, now you're affecting the game way too much.
Yeah. Well, you're accommodating the wrong thing.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
Screw the players, screw the officiators, screw the managers, and everybody else that has anything to do with the game.
Forget the fans that literally pay their money. They save up, take their families. This is their weekly outing, or you know, if they're away, then they sit at home and watch it on TV or whatever. Right. But when like, we don't, I guess we kind of do get this with American football.
Yeah.
But I think more so. Because you have more clubs in England and in Spain. Dude, these families work hard all week.
Yeah,
they go to school, they go to work. This is their thing that they do on a Saturday or on a Sunday morning. They get up and they go watch their team that they have grown up, been born into, just like you and I as Alabama fans. We were born as Alabama fans.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. But like, what do we do on Saturdays? We find some way to make time to support our team.
That's right. That's right.
You more so than me. I've gotten so much into football now that like, I don't really watch it as much. But the same thing applies. One of the things that you can easily, I think, is more difficult with American football because of the way the game is set up already. It's structured. Right. In association football, it is meant to have subjectivity. Case in point, offsides. Right. The main talking point of the VAR issue right now is the offside that was called that shouldn't have been called. He was clearly onside. They gave him the 2D line that shows he should not have been called offside. It was a clear-cut chance. He was clearly onside by a mile, in my opinion. Should have been the goal. Should have at least walked away with a point apiece. Right. Instead, they walked away. Tottenham walks away with 3 points. Liverpool walks away with none.
Man, so you're saying that game should have ended in a draw?
At least.
Wow.
Now, I'm not saying that Tottenham couldn't have come back and scored and put themselves up. Sure. But they should have had the opportunity. It should have been level at that moment.
So, because of the offsides that led to that penalty goal, which gave Tottenham the lead? Am I?
Yeah. So it was 2-1 at the time of the attack.
Oh, okay.
And so I think it was Mohamed Salah gets a great goal to the other player, and I don't know him off the top of my head. I think Diaz is his last name. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, please. He gets the ball. He was clearly onside. I mean, by half a leg, half a step.
So how did VAR screw this up?
From what I saw, from what I gathered, either there was a mishap between the electrons connecting in the VAR official's brain, or it was just like a total brain block. I don't know, but they reviewed it. They said, yeah, that should have been a goal, and then they come out and said, oh wait, that should have been a goal. I'm like, what do you mean that? Yeah, that should have been a goal. Like, you get paid a bunch of money. I mean, I don't know how much y'all get paid, but you certainly get paid a lot more than I ever did, reffing. I never got paid at all.
Right. So if it's like if that's going to be an option, right? If you're going to have the screen review as an option, they should get the call right. You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole purpose of that, It's so that calls don't get screwed up anymore.
Right.
This puts a whole blemish on VAR as a thing. If you're ever going to get anybody on board with it, this is how you screw it up.
Yeah.
Right. This is not how you keep people.
Yeah,
in.
this is not the move here.
No, not at all. No, this is not it, guys. This is not it.
Yeah.
So man, that is so crazy to me. And I think when it comes down to it, I would rather a game. I'd rather remember a game because a referee screwed something up more than me remembering a game because some guy sat behind a computer screen,
Right.
messed something up. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because at the very least, I can give the benefit of the doubt to a guy who made the human error of this is in game, this happened, I made a mistake. Versus these guys are sitting behind a camera.
They got it
screen,
on replay.
yeah, watching
14
on replay.
different angles.
Yes, and still screwed it up.
Yeah.
I am far more upset with those guys with no grace given whatsoever because
Right.
there's no reason why they should have screwed that up versus somebody else who's out on the pitch who is actually officiating the game. You know, so when it comes down to it, my opinion, I think VAR is going to be something that is somewhat cancerous to the game.
Yeah.
I think that it's going to try to change the game too much, and that when it's all said and done, it's going to end up being disposed of anyway. And it would probably help them a great deal if they either dialed it back a little bit to what all it could do, and just said, you know what, instead of us trying to affect the game so much, let's use VAR as a way to help maybe better our officiating. So after the game, if we notice some bad calls were made, we bring the officials in. Maybe we start keeping a document of these officials, and if they're constantly making bad calls, guess what? They probably don't need to be officiating games anymore.
Well, that's what happened with the Liverpool VAR crew. They got removed.
All right, good.
Yeah,
good.
they got
All right.
removed after that.
Great.
And look, I get it. Like, you still have humans behind the screen. They are going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
I just have very little, if any, grace at all when you have this thing on replay.
Yeah.
And you have to make a decision quick because the game gets restarted quick.
Yes, because VAR is supposed to remove the mistakes, though, right? That's like their whole point. That's what they're pinning it as, right?
That's what they hope.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, sure. But that's the whole point
Yeah.
of it being brought in is like, okay, this is going to remove the mistakes, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
Right. So really, it leads to more frustration in my mind.
One of the side issue that I have with this, used to added time at the end of the half, specifically in the 90th minute, you're looking at, I don't know, upwards to 3 to 4 minutes. I'm watching these guys play into the 100th minute.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, dude, you've already played 9. For some of these players that have been on the field, they did not get subbed off. Used to, you only had 3 subs. Now you have 5.
Yeah. Did you watch the Man City game the other day?
No, I didn't.
So they went into extra minutes, and they had extra minutes for the extra minutes. So it was like at 90, I was like, okay, how many minutes is it gonna be? Here we are at 5. And now I think it went into like 98 minutes or something like that.
You're almost playing a whole first half of extra time.
Yeah.
You have 15 minutes of extra time, if depending on the competition. You're almost 105 is the limit there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and I get,
Gosh, man.
like they've dialed it back. You normally get 1 to 2 minutes in the first half.
Sure.
That's fair.
Sure.
I think that's good. I think that's wise. Get the guys to halftime, and the girls, right? Because you have the same issue on both sides.
Right.
But dealing specifically on the men's side right now, I think what I'm seeing, because like I was watching the Barcelona game, it went to no, not the Barcelona game, the Inter Miami game the other night. I'm thankful because in the 95th minute they scored and evened the game and walked away with a point apiece.
Right.
But I'm sitting there thinking 7 added minutes.
That's a lot.
Why?
Man.
Why?
That's a lot. Yeah.
Like why? I mean, you play 90 minutes in a game. You're looking at the ref begging him, especially if you're in the lead. Because if you don't have a 2-1 lead when he says, hey, you got a minute or 2 minutes left,
Yeah.
in your mind, you're thinking, please end this game.
Yeah.
Because you're balancing points. If depending on the tournament, you're like at the World Cup.
No, dude.
Say it's the World
my
Cup
gosh.
final and you get 20. At this point, it might be 20 added minutes, but realistically, you get 8 added minutes.
Dude, that's the wildest 8 minutes of your life.
I mean, and you have a 2-1 lead.
You played your heart out for 90 minutes, and somebody just walked over and said you got 8 more minutes. Because to my knowledge, they don't tell you how many added minutes you're about to have.
You have to look over the fourth official announces, and by announce, I mean he holds up a video board that says 4, 5, however many minutes, and that's how it's added.
Like they don't tell you during the last 30 by any means or last.
No. That comes at the 90th minute.
That is crazy. That is so crazy to me, man. That is crazy to me that you can't even prep for it.
Yeah.
It's like you get to the end of these 90 minutes and it's like, all right, here's 7 more. You're like, what the frick?
Yeah.
It'd be like in American football. I know we have a lot of start and stops, but it's like, you've sufficiently beat a team, right? You beat them by a touchdown.
You're going to overtime.
Yeah, well, forget overtime. You've beat them. In college football, the 12th minute has ended, and everybody's like, "Cool, let's unstrap our helmets." And the official runs over and goes, "Hey guys, we got 6 more minutes." And you're like, "What do you mean, bro?" And he's like, "No, this is it. Yeah, because we took a little bit of time here and there. We did a commercial break on accident. 6 more minutes of playtime.
Yeah.
Let's go." Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's doing too much.
Yeah,
That's doing too
and
much.
I think, if you're on the losing end of that, or you're on the bottom end of that, even if you're drawing,
Yeah.
I think at that point you want the extra minutes.
Sure.
Like case in point, NYFC sitting in a wild card spot,
Yeah.
trying to go to the MLS playoffs right now. Me being a Messi Inter Miami fan now,
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, come on. Like they had some good opportunities. Messi's
Yeah.
not playing right now, so you don't have your star player.
Right.
I see 7 added minutes. I'm thinking, okay, maybe there's some hope.
Yeah.
95th minute rolls around, they equalize, and I'm screaming, I'm excited, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think overall I'd rather see less added minutes.
Yeah.
But I mean, VAR is going to have to be a contributing factor to that.
So final take: VAR, good or bad for the game?
Bad.
Bad.
I think ultimately, from what the game used to be, from what the game is now, it has not done what it's supposed to do. Goal line technology, phenomenal for the game. I'm glad we have it. I've seen goals not be awarded that were clear goals.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, the goal line technology is fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant thing. I think like in the video, Tiva, they said, hey, this is actually proven its success. It's
Yeah.
proven its worth quickly.
Yeah.
One mess up. The rest of the time, perfect.
And now 10 years down the road, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm like, yeah, I can get on board with that. VAR though, bad for the game.
Yeah.
Bad for the game. Let's get rid of it. Guys, if y'all disagree with us, please let us know. Drop a reaction video back to us and let us know why you hate our opinion so much. However, I think a lot of you are probably on the same page that we are with this. Look, if you like this video, if you like the content that's coming from this channel, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you want to see next. If you want to see more of Cameron, let me know as well. We'd love to have him back on the channel. And I guess that wraps up our take on VAR.
Yeah.
If you guys would stick around, there's going to be some bubbles that pop up in a minute with some other videos that I'd like for you to click on because it'd be really nice for me. But until the next video, we'll see you guys then.